Yes, they will be showing some film, and it will be discussed throughout the week.
What does it say about Kentucky football when a player like Jared, who he didn't win a lot, but he put up some good numbers and people really liked him, and he obviously had a personality that connected with people, that he left such an impact without necessarily the success on the field? Like, I guess, and now that the program's kind of trending in a different direction, I guess, what does it say about a guy like that, and what it connects, how it
Well, as I mentioned, I think it's, first of all, it's hard not to like Jared, as a football player and as a person. What little I knew of him, he really liked him personally. And again, I don't pretend to have a best friend relationship with him, but what I did know of him, I really liked. And he's a beloved player here, and rightfully so, I think, because any player, you're going to have respect for if they go out there and lay it on the line for your team week in and week out. And I think anytime you go back and watch any of his films and see the things that he's done in trying to put the weight of the team on his shoulders and running it, passing, spinning around, tossing it any which way to make plays for his team, it's hard not to admire that. And, and I think that's what everybody remembers. And, again, I think our team, we really, try to exemplify that a little bit by playing the game the right way, respecting the game, playing it hard, laying it on the line, doing the best you can. There's a great example of the results are the results, but it still doesn't diminish anything by the way he played and the way he represented the university, and I think we all try to do that the right way.
Mark, knowing what you said about your history with Jared, and I have a great history with what little you know about it, what has impressed you most about him? Something that you'll never forget, an anecdotal story, maybe you would have something along that line?
Well, I don't know if I'd be the right person to discuss that. I just think, you look at him, you admire him, you watch some of these highlights that are popping up and that will pop up throughout this week, and some of the highlights I'll show the team, and you can't help but put a smile on your face and a little chuckle, because it's like, how did he just do that? I guess that would be some things that come to mind with me.
Is there a guy on your team that reminds you, maybe not even just personality-wise, but just
I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's a fair assessment. He's one of a kind.
I think we all appreciate the mental and physical toughness of Sawyer Smith. Is there going to be a point, if he does start the game, if he does get in the game, are you going to trust his judgment to say, I'm okay, or is it going to be a judgment call by the coaching staff to pull him if you see that he's hurt?
Yeah, I think we all have to be very cautious of that. Yes, you have to be very in tune to that and to see how he's playing, how he feels physically. That'll be determined through this week, and what kind of shots or what happens in game. So yes, I think we'll be very aware of that. Try to manage it as best we can.
Mark, how's he held up just in terms of his psyche? Because obviously it hasn't gone especially well, and he's taken a lot of physical, a real beating. How's he just holding up?
He's holding up just fine. He's a resilient young man. Really important for him to do the best he can and to help his team. Obviously, as I just mentioned, we will obviously monitor him very, very closely to make sure we don't put him in harm's way. And it's a long season, and we need him back, and we need him back healthy and playing like he did early on, like he did in the Florida game, and he was very impressive, and we got to just make sure he's able to physically do that.
Mark, you guys got some, early in the South Carolina game, you got Jamin Davis in on some pass rushing downs. What has he kind of done in that area to give you some confidence?
Yeah, we wanted to give him some opportunities. We've been working him. Jamin's a guy that is versatile, plays inside and he can play outside. So in certain packages, in the nickel package, he gives us the ability to rush outside. He's got good length and good athleticism. But we we also need him, and he's starting to play back kind of like we expected him to. You know, you heard me brag a lot about him in the spring, and you know, through this camp, I think you know, he's starting to play at a high level where we need him to, and we're excited about him because he's just you know, he brings us, you know, some length and some athleticism. He brings us depth inside, and he gives us another guy with the ability to rush some on the edge.
What about Xavier Peters? You've talked about him a little bit, but do you see him playing a role this week against Arkansas?
Well, I think Xavier, you know, with the time, you know, with the time practicing last week, with the time getting in, getting more and more reps, it just naturally gets comfortable. You know, you get better, and again, you know, we don't need to force any of that. We need as many good players as we can to help us win games when they can. And you know, obviously we all have a great sense of urgency to push players as best they can when they're ready. And I think he's progressing. And you know, no player needs any extra pressure on them on when and where and how they can help. When they can help, they will. And he's working hard and getting better.
Talk back to Jim for a second. Your years as a defensive coordinator and a head coach, who's the best big quarterback you've ever faced?
Big quarterback?
Yeah, somebody who was, maybe people thought was too big to play quarterback.
That's a good question. I could go back to, you know, you know, there's quite a few that were very aggravating. I can think back to Russell Wilson and, you know, how difficult, you know, he was. You know, he did some things that just shook my head at times. And that was tough. But there's been a lot of good ones. I have to think about that, John, you know, with some big guys that were hard to get down. Jacoby Brissett, who, you know, played last night, you know, is a guy that is bigger and stronger than people think. You know, kind of one of those guys. He's hard to get down, and you know, he's a big dude, and he was a pretty good player too.
You went against Jameis when he was on scout team, right?
Yeah. Well, I had some pretty good animals chasing him around. Yeah. So those guys they tracked him down pretty good. Yeah, but I could just blow the whistle now.
Mark, during basketball media days, John Calipari said that in the 10 years that he's been coaching in Kentucky, he never once has looked at a single post on social media. And I noticed you're a little bit more sensitive and keyed into fan chatter.
Give me an example of that.
So first of all, do you believe Coach Cal?
Wait. Give me an example. You may say that in fairness to questions, maybe. You may get my hair on my neck, and you may feel that in here. Never in social media.
So seriously,
How do you know I
much
even
pay
have
attention?
it? How do you know I even have it?
Do you have
My
it?
people run that. Yeah.
How much do you pay attention to that?
Zero.
Mark,
Now y'all piss me off.
Anybody else? Yeah, Mark, you were talking about Jamin a minute ago. In general, when you have 4 productive inside linebackers, you know, does the timeshare at all evolve as the season goes
Yeah,
on? How
and
does that?
it helps. You know, it helps. You know, there's times, you know, so the 4 inside backers, it's really important. Those guys get beat up. It's a physical game. There are times in games when those inside guys may go through it and feel really good, and they want to continue to play because the way it's going, and they're feeling things, reading things, and even the experience within game is important. But then there's times when it's the physicality of the game is taking its toll and it's counterproductive. And so, you know, that's where it is important with the experience of players to know, you know, when they need a break and when they do not. And, you know, we want to do that, but it also helps develop your football team. you know, for the future. And, you know, and as the season goes on. So a good rotation is healthy and it's important.
Mark, to go back to the offensive line for a minute. Kentucky struggled some on 3rd and 1s and kind of plays. Has there been any particular theme to those struggles?
Pardon me, on what?
Converting short yardage situations?
Well, it's hard to go back. I mean, we moved on. I mean, you have to learn from every opportunity. And there's been a combination of things. I think I mentioned there was an assignment, here or there that kind of, is glaring to all of us, and that doesn't go away easy, and then there's times when I think, early on, even in the first 2 games, when we mentioned where, runs can be a little more patient, and you learn from the experience of that. And there's times when the offensive line needs to just get better movement. There's times where scheme, we can do better as coaches, put them in better position. So it's all the above. We all need to, accept, that criticism and need to make sure we're doing the best we can to put them in a position to be successful. So everybody has to take their part in that. I think it's a combination of things. I can't think of any one thing, There's been a couple where we've come up 3 inches short, and things of that nature.
How did you all evaluate the play of Chris Olsen in the last game?
Pardon me?
Chris Olsen, how did you all evaluate him, his play in the last
Who?
game? Chris Olsen.
Chris is doing some really good things, and we still love his ceiling. I mean, he's going to be a really good football player and needs to continue to get better. There's things he needs to work on. Again, you asked me specifically about him, and so I'll answer you. But it goes across the board. There's a lot of things that a lot of players need to get better at, and we all starts with me on down. Everybody accepts it and looks at it, but there's things where his footwork and his leverage, where he's got to play lower. He's big, he's long, and reading things and having proper footwork, playing with leverage, playing things tighter. There's things he can be cleaner. Again, so can a lot of our players. There's other things he does extremely well, where he runs and get him in open grass, and he can run and cover some ground. He's so long and he's athletic, and so he's a second-year player. He's 5 games into his true sophomore year. Going to be a very, very good football player. Needs to fundamentally and consciously think about things, about getting better every day. And if he does that, he's always got a great attitude, and he's going to have a great career.